The research station Nexus 7 drifted in the shadow of a dead moon, its bioluminescent corridors pulsing with the rhythm of a Dominion heartbeat. Dr. Vel'thara moved through the artifact chambers with increasing unease, her forearms manipulating holographic displays while her compound eyes tracked data streams that made less sense with each passing hour. The war with humanity had driven the Dominion to excavate deeper into the galaxy's forgotten corners, searching for weapons to crush the returning human fleets. What they found instead were fragments of civilizations that had vanished without explanation. Entire star systems scrubbed clean of life, leaving only cryptic warnings carved into asteroids and dead worlds. "Another signal fragment decoded," announced her assistant, his voice tight with barely concealed fear. "This one's from the Vel'thara Collective. They had a fleet of 10,000 ships. According to their final transmission, they lasted 6 standard hours." Vel'thara's mandibles clicked nervously as she studied the alien artifact floating in the containment field before her. The crystalline structure pulsed with an inner light that seemed almost aware. She had been cataloging similar fragments for weeks now, each one humming with the same terrifying frequency. 6 hours, she whispered. "The Vel'thara held off our third fleet for 30 years. The station's emergency lighting flickered as another energy spike rippled through the artifact. Through the reinforced viewports, the stars seemed dimmer tonight, as if something vast was moving between them and the lights. The Dominion had ruled the galaxy for millennia, their bioengineered forms and adaptive technologies crushing all resistance. But the evidence was mounting. They weren't the apex predators they believed themselves to be. "Sir," came a trembling voice from the communications array, "we're receiving a transmission. It's using protocols we've never seen before. The signal is coming from beyond the galactic rim." Vel'thara felt her secondary heart skip as she approached the communication station. While the Dominion's fleets battled humanity's desperate insurgency across the outer systems, they had been so focused on that familiar threat that they'd ignored the whispers from the dark. The whispers that spoke of something that made their war with humanity seem like a petty territorial dispute. As the alien signal resolved into comprehensible data, Vel'thara realized with growing horror that the galaxy was about to change forever. While humanity's return ignites chaos across the galaxy, she thought, watching the artifact pulse with malevolent intelligence. A darker force stirs in the unknown corners of space, a threat more terrifying than any the Dominion has faced before. Chapter 2. The Dominion's discovery. The signal arrived at 0347 hours. Ship time, screaming through the station's most sensitive receivers like the death cry of a trillion souls. Dr. Vel'thara stood transfixed before the main display as layers of encryption peeled away, revealing not star charts or battle plans, but something far more chilling, a collective obituary for half the galaxy. "Run the linguistic analysis again," she commanded, her voice barely audible above the station's humming life support systems. The symbols cascading across the screen seemed to writhe with their own malevolent purpose, forming patterns that burned themselves into her retina. Her assistant's claws clicked frantically over the controls. "The message is a composite, sir. Fragments from 67 different species, all saying the same thing. They're warning us about something called the Hive Mind." The words hit Vel'thara like a physical blow. She had spent her career studying the rise and fall of galactic civilizations, but this was different. This wasn't conquest or war, this was something beyond comprehension. The decoded message painted a picture of cosmic horror. Intelligence, so vast it encompassed entire star clusters, where individual consciousness was dissolved into a collective that thought with the minds of quintillions. Each creature, each ship, each microscopic spore floating in the void was a single neuron in a brain that spanned galactic distances. They didn't conquer worlds, they absorbed them, turning entire ecosystems into extensions of their singular will. "Look at this tactical analysis," her assistant called out, his voice cracking with terror. "The Zephyrian Empire's final battle recordings. They describe creatures that adapt faster than their weapons can cycle, that learn from every shot fired at them. Their fleets don't just coordinate, they are coordination itself. Every ship moving as naturally as a Dominion citizen moves their limbs." Vel'thara studied the tactical readouts with mounting dread. The Zephyrians had been formidable opponents there. Crystal Matrix warships had stalemated the Dominion for 3 centuries before finally being conquered. Yet according to these records, the Hive Mind had consumed their entire civilization in less than a solar cycle. "Sir," another technician interrupted, his voice shaking, "the environmental controls are detecting quantum fluctuations. The artifact, In Containment 7 it's not just resonating anymore, it's communicating. Through the reinforced observation window, Vel'thara watched the alien fragment pulse with renewed intensity. Deep within its crystalline structure, she could see something that looked disturbingly like neural tissue, as if the artifact itself was a piece of the hive mind, dormant for eons, now awakening to the call of its distant masters. The implications crashed over her like a tidal wave. These weren't just artifacts, they were spores, seeds, fragments of an intelligence that had been waiting patiently for the right moment to awaken. And now, with the galaxy weakened by war between the Dominion and humanity, that moment had come. What we have discovered is more than just a species, she realized with dawning terror. It is an intelligence ancient, boundless, and terrifying. A hive that thinks as one, consumes as one, and destroys as one. The Dominion has never faced anything like it before. Chapter 3, The Hive Minds. Invasion Admiral Kextar stood rigid on the bridge of the Dominion flagship Eternal Dominance. His compound eyes fixed on the tactical display that showed nothing but empty space where colony world Vexai should have been. 47 million Dominion citizens had called that world home just 3 cycles ago. Now there was only void, not even stellar dust to mark where they had lived and died. Report, he commanded, his voice cutting through the bridge's suffocating silence. Sir, long-range sensors detect no wreckage, no energy signatures, no trace of the colony infrastructure. It's as if the planet was consumed, sir, completely. The star itself is dimmer as if something drained its energy. Kextar's mandibles clicked in agitation. He had been fighting humanity's insurgent forces for months now, adapting to their brutal efficiency and desperate tactics. But humans left wreckage when they struck. They left messages, warnings, some trace of their defiant presence. This was something else entirely, something that erased existence itself. Sir, the communications officer's voice cracked with panic. We're receiving a transmission from the advanced scout fleet at Vexai's coordinates. It's fragmented, but they're reporting contact with unknown hostiles. The main screen flickered to life, showing the twisted remains of what had once been Captain Thelonara's command ship. The hull wasn't damaged, it was changed, partially converted into something that pulsed with alien thought. Through the static, her voice came through in desperate, fragmented bursts. Not ships. They're organisms, Admiral. They're adapting to our weapons in real time. Every shot we fire, they learn and counter the drones. They're everywhere. They're not just fighting us, they're studying us, converting our own weapons. Against the transmission cut to static, then to something infinitely worser. Sound like a billion voices whispering in perfect unison, speaking in harmonics that made every Dominion officer on the bridge clutch their heads in agony. The sound carried meaning, not words, but pure concept. We are coming. We are inevitable. Resistance is consumption. Get us to Vexai's last known position, Kextar ordered, fighting down the terror that threatened to overwhelm his tactical mind. Maximum speed, and prep the fleet for whatever we're about to face. But even as his flagship leaped to hyperspace, he knew they were already too late. The reports flooding in from the outer colonies painted a picture of systematic consumption. The hive mind didn't just attack, it flowed across worlds like a living tsunami, converting everything it touched into extensions of its vast intelligence. When the Eternal Dominance dropped out of hyperspace at Vexai's coordinates, what they found defied every law of physics and biology they understood. The planet was still there, but it was wrong. The familiar blue-green continents had been replaced by a writhing mass of biomechanical tissue that pulsed with alien thoughts. The atmosphere itself seemed alive, thick with spores that carried information between the planet's new neural networks. Admiral, his tactical officer whispered, I'm reading massive energy signatures throughout the system. The asteroids, the gas giants, moons, they're all showing signs of conversion, sir. The entire system is being transformed into a single organism. As if summoned by their arrival, the swarm came. Not ships in any conventional sense, but living creatures the size of cruisers. Their forms shifting and adapting as they moved. They flowed through space like schools of predatory fish, each individuature perfectly coordinated with the whole. The first wave struck the Dominion formation with impossible precision. Energy weapons that should have vaporized the creatures instead seemed to feed them, their biomechanical hulls absorbing the energy and converting it into new offensive capabilities. Within minutes, the alien swarm was firing back with modified versions of Dominion weapons, improved and optimized beyond recognition. They're learning, Kexter breathed, watching his most advanced warships being systematically dismantled by their own technology. They're not just fighting us, they're becoming us. Chapter 4. The Dominion's response to emergency war council convened in the Dominion's most secure facility. Buried deep within the core of their capital world, Empress Sexana, her bioluminescent crown pulsing with agitated patterns, stood before the assembled military commanders as holographic displays showed the spread of the Hive Mind's influence across the galaxy's edge. 17 systems, she announced, her voice carrying the weight of absolute authority. 17 systems, consumed in the past cycle, no survivors, no wreckage, nothing but ... conversion. Admiral Kexter, his exoskeleton still bearing scorch marks from his narrow escape at Vexai, stepped forward. Your Majesty, this enemy is unlike anything we've encountered. They don't just defeat our forces, they absorb them. Every ship we lose, every weapon we fire, makes them stronger. The tactical displays showed the horrifying truth. The Hive Mind's expansion wasn't random, it was strategic, purposeful. They were consuming the galaxy's most advanced civilizations first, absorbing their technology and knowledge before moving on to the next target. And their next target was clearly the Dominion core worlds. What do we know about their capabilities? Demanded General Vextal, his scarred carapace reflecting the chamber's emergency lighting. They adapt faster than we can develop countermeasures, Kexter replied grimly. They're ships, if we can call them ships, are living organisms that can reshape themselves at the molecular level. They don't just communicate with each other, they are each other. Every drone, every creature, every spore is a single cell in a vast intelligence. Empress Zexana's compound eyes fixed on the tactical display showing the Hive Mind's projected expansion routes. How long do we have? At their current rate of consumption, they'll reach the outer defensive perimeter in 12 cycles. The tactical AI announced. Recommend immediate deployment of all Omega-class warships to establish a defensive line. Deploy them, the Empress commanded. But also begin evacuation protocols for the border worlds. If we cannot stop them, we must at least preserve what we can. As the Council dispersed to coordinate the Dominion's desperate defense, remained behind, studying the displays with growing despair. The Hive Mind wasn't just winning, they were evolving, becoming more sophisticated with each world they consumed. Soon they would have absorbed enough knowledge to face the Dominion's core fleets on equal terms. We might be facing an enemy that has no weakness, he thought, watching the red indicators spread across the galactic map like a plague. An enemy that turns our own strengths against us. Chapter 5. The final revelation. In the depths of space, far beyond the reach of Dominion sensors, the Hive Mind's true form began to reveal itself. What the military commanders had seen were merely the feeding tendrils of something vast beyond comprehension, a collective intelligence that had been consuming galaxies for eons, waiting patiently for this one to ripen. The massive fleet that emerged from the intergalactic void defied description, ships the size of moons, living creatures that had once been entire star systems, biomechanical constructs that pulsed with the accumulated knowledge of 1,000 civilizations. They moved with the fluid grace of a single organism, because that's exactly what they were. On Earth, Sarah Chen stood in the command center of humanity's hidden fleet, unaware that the war between humans and the Dominion was about to become irrelevant. The tactical displays showed Dominion forces pulling back from the front lines, abandoning their aggressive expansion to defend their core worlds from an unknown threat. What are they running from? She wondered aloud, studying the enemy's retreat patterns. Her tactical officer looked up from his console, confusion evident in his voice. Ma'am, we're detecting massive energy signatures beyond the galactic rim. Something big is moving toward Dominion space. As if sensing their attention, the Hive Mind's consciousness touched the edges of human space. A vast intelligence that had been waiting patiently for this moment. The war between humanity and the Dominion had weakened both civilizations, making them perfect targets for absorption. Soon the knowledge and technology of both species would be added to the collective, making the Hive Mind even more powerful. The final scene showed the true scale of the threat, a tide of living darkness flowing between the stars, consuming everything in its path. The Dominion's mighty fleets seemed like insects before this cosmic horror, their desperate resistance serving only to feed the very enemy they fought. As the first Hive Mind ships entered the galaxy proper, their biomechanical hulls reflecting the light of dying stars, a voice echoed across the void, not heard, but felt in the deepest recesses of every sentient mind. We are the end of individuality. We are the synthesis of all knowledge. We are the final evolution. Resistance is consumption. Compliance is consumption. All paths lead to us. The Dominion will fight to the last. The narrative voice intoned as the credits began to roll. Humanity will prepare for the battles ahead. But the Hive Mind is watching, and in the shadows of the galaxy, the final war is already beginning. The screen faded to black, leaving only the sound of a billion voices whispering in perfect unison. A promise of the horror yet to come, to be continued.